Hey bud, this is Cosmos Code, and for my first full-length video, I didn't want to start off with just any random game. I wanted to choose something that is important to me. Now, this is a game that has had a profound impact on my life. From the friends I've met, to my creative inspirations, to the models I have sitting on my shelf. This is, as you can probably tell from what you're looking at, is Warframe. It's hard to say in just a few words what kind of game Warframe is. It's often talked about alongside Destiny, as they are both sci-fi looter shooters. However, that's about where the similarities end, as they're quite different games. And sure, you could probably fit Warframe into a few specific genres, but doing so would defeat the whole purpose of a game like Warframe to exist in the first place. So, why does Warframe exist, and what does it have to say through its narratives? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. Talking about the written narrative of Warframe may take longer than it takes to craft a frame. Really, why does it still take 72 hours? So, let's start with a narrative type that's a bit more self-contained. The visual narrative. Even saying this is quite a large topic to pin down, as the aesthetic can vary a lot between locations and different settings in the game. To me, the overall idea could be described as a mix between Dune, with its larger-than-life scale, and Star Trek, often leaning more into sci-fi than fantasy, or hard sci-fi, as I call it. What Warframe does a really good job of is letting you get a feel for a place, and it encourages you to explore the different environments it has to offer. From the tech-based corpus, the military Grineer, the regal Orokin, the putrid infested, and there's still more factions. Now, some of these factions have a counterpart as well, where the corpus is very bureaucratic and clean. The Solaris United have a more working class or industrial distinction, where the Grineer where the corpus are very bureaucratic and clean, the Solaris United have a more working class or industrial distinction, where the Grineer are a strict military of clone soldiers, the Ostron are peaceful and docile, where the Orokin are almost religious. You have, well, us. The yin and the yang. You can see this intentional duality in a lot of Warframe's visual designs. For such a wide berth of designs, they all feel remarkably deep and unique, with tons of visual elements to help pull you into the world that they have created. These design structures go from core elements like level design to fine details like decorations in your orbiter. They're all unique and consistent, and you can instantly recognize when a specific design belongs to a specific faction. What's even more standing with all the differences, none of them feel out of place or too similar. They all feel like they should belong in the same universe, and something with this wide of a design arc, they feel like that is impressive to say the least. With the recent 1999 update, they introduced design elements inspired by the 90s, and still, they feel consistent and make sense in the context of the established lore.
I was dying all along.
Now, I could go
Did you
on
know
and on
that?
for a while and
Dying
keep talking
from the
about Warframe's
poison I
visuals,
sucked down to
but my
kill
point
the
is that
tech
all
rot in
these
my
design
lungs,
choices
until
feel like
it
they all have thought,
held out my
care,
own
and a
severed
purpose
hand to
behind
me
them.
and
A game like
offered
this
me
that so
life.
clearly has passion behind it is the reason, one of the reasons, why I want to make these videos in the first place. A game like this makes it pretty darn easy to make these videos as well, with how much information and lore I can pull from. Now, next, let's talk about the corpus. These are the cliche corporate bad guys, which, yes, you've seen a dime a dozen, but to be fair, there are still some original ideas here. An entire race or group devoted entirely to corporate production and greed. Not just as a philosophy, but literally their whole existence is built around making as much money as they can. Literally sacrificing their soul. That doesn't stop at their business. It goes down to their actual physiology, becoming part cyborg and altering their bodies all in the name of making more money. These themes are even more prevalent in Fortuna, terraforming parts of the landscape to fit their needs and building massive structures in honoring their leaders, as any responsible dictatorship often does. And then you can look at the Sisters of Pardo's sub-faction. They're each given a job title so specific that they hardly seem meaningful. And then the corpuses mirror the Solaris United, aka the cliche oppressed people living in the slums. Again, that itself is not original, but it's what they do with it that makes it so memorable. Once you reach max rank with them, it is actually revealed that every member of that faction that you meet, all the characters, they have had their actual head and a secret component on their body. Now, this, to me, could possibly show that they still try to cling to their humanity and their soul, preventing them from becoming like their oppressors, like the corpus. And as a small side note, corpus, corporate, clever wordplay. Now, the aesthetic in Fortuna has a very brutalist and less than sleek design behind it. A stark contrast from the sleek and clean corpus as you see in the designs. The unfinished and unkept visuals, the steam from the vents, or the NPCs working all contribute to create a vibe that is hard to deny its parallel to real life. Now, I can't go on without mentioning the absolute banger, We All Live Together, which is my personal favorite Warframe song, as I'm sure it's a lot of people's favorite. And this song, the lyrics, back up my point, and back up the point of a working class and all working together against corporate greed. Now, both the sound and the lyrics of that song, as I just said, show that even in hopeless times, great things can happen if we all live together. Now we can move on to the Grenier for a minute. The mindless soldiers all serving in a system-wide military. All cloned and engineered to be obedient and serve their queens. Where the corpus exists for profit, the Grenier exist to conquer and rule. They visually have a bulkier, more aggressive aesthetic both in the enemies, their ships, and their structures. Showing efficiency is relevant as long as they win their battles. They can always pump out more clones and always rebuild. As I was writing the script, I noticed both the corpus and Grenier are critiques on capitalism. Money, efficiency, and corporate BS with the corpus, and replacing bodies, crushing competition, and winning no matter the cost for the Grineer. Sound familiar? The other factions also seem to have real-world critiques. The Orokin, who in short, very, very extremely short, are the old gods of the lore. That was at least before the Tenno rebelled. This could potentially be a parallel to how the 1% lords over everyone and controls the world. With the Orokin, Golden Kingdoms, bending as to their will, or the system, or creating warframes to fight for them. And then how the 1% and the real world hides behind their wealth and often tries to present themselves as caring and
All will
passionate.
be still when the flood has passed.
Now, how about the infested? A plague infecting everything. No matter who you are, it will consume you. From the mighty Orokin to the soulless corpus drones to the clone Grineer. It doesn't care about social standing and will come for us all. A literal proxy for the infested could potentially be sickness or death, which is just as inevitable and uncaring as the infested. Another point of view that is a bit more subjective, which is actually a flip on them as enemies, could be that the infested represent unity and strips away anything superficial a person could have. Take away money, power, status, race, and other things.
Watching you dance
Under all that, we're all the same. Or maybe the infested represent the dark side of humanity. Or what could be the worst version of our species if we went down a specific path. I'm not here to get on my soapbox and drone on about what it all means. I'm here to say that it does mean something, regardless of specifics. That's what makes Warframe such a natively strong game, that despite how complex it all gets, everything is thought out and means something. So with that in mind, let's dig deeper, shall we? The sounds and audio of Warframe so deep and thought out that they have a whole panel dedicated to it at their convention. Which, side note, I'm recording this the night before and I'm very excited. And I absolutely love the sound of this game. I'll get into the voice acting shortly, but first I want to talk a bit about the sound design. First off, the sound design in the weapons and frames is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I don't know, I'm not educated in this kind of thing, so I'm not going to get into that. However, the art team for the respective fields clearly know what they're doing and collaborate between each other. The visual designs and sound designs line up very well, and they're all coherent. Some of my personal favorites include the hard sci-fi weapons. That classic sci-fi laser gun, pew pew, is absolutely awesome to hear with these weapons. I think the sound design is a large part of what makes the combat in Warframe so enjoyable. Even when things get chaotic, you can clearly pick out individual sounds if you pay attention. Shooting, reloading, enemy grunts, damage, etc. This care for sound design extends to the Warframes as well. Now, obviously, each frame has a unique theme, which I'll talk more about in just a minute, but one of the core parts of what makes them unique are their sounds.
Don't get too
Take
excited.
Gauss, for example, who is one of my personal favorites. When you use his first ability, you can hear sounds of someone breathing through a respirator. This is a great way to add to his theme of speed. or his second ability, where he can reflect certain damage, which, as a side note, makes it easy for him for immortality, and the sounds of the bullets bouncing off of him sound very strong, and again stay in theme of chaos as a speedy frame. Another one of my main frames is Revenant, who, with his lore tied to the Eidolons, give him a distinct ethereal vibe. His animation sounds all have a deep, resonating tone, helping to create an air of mystery to his vibe. Again, all these choices are deliberate and well thought out to give every weapon and frame their distinct personality, enabling the player to get attached to their favorite loadout. That same level of care is also heard in the voice acting, leaving a lot of the voice characters memorable and fleshed out. One of the most iconic characters in Warframe is CLEM, because, well, CLEM. On a different note, though, I can't think of a particular performance that is distractingly bad. Yes, of course, they're not all going to be award-worthy, but with how many voice performances there are, it is an achievement both on the actors and the writing team and the casting team for this consistency. You don't get to have such memorable and beloved characters without strong performances. Lotus, Teshin, and many others are loved by the fan base, in part because of how they are portrayed. Now, what is as equally as important as a strong voice actor are the words they read. A well-built home can only stand because of a strong foundation. A strong script for the actors is maybe the most important piece in video games design. You need strong performances if you want to pull in an audience and have them listen to what you have to say. Think of some of your favorite quotes from any media. Now, it doesn't have to be video game or sci-fi, just think of some. As you think of them, what do you see? Are you building out the scene in your head? Do you see yourself the first time you heard it? What do you feel? Do you feel the emotions of the character? These tenets, among a few others, are what makes a compelling story. That's very brief, but that's some of the core elements, at least to me. Beyond the script, the writing that hides beneath the surface layer are truly the bones of any game. A game will absolutely fail without strong and competent world building. Some games get stuck in repetition and don't evolve, while others stray too far and lose sight of their original intentions. Now, there is a titanic amount of lore in Warframe that it would be impossible to go through all of it without making this video 10 hours long. So instead, I will try to build out my point. Is a completely random side note, but as I was writing this script, my cat is snoring like an old man. You know, we love our Kavats and Kubros. Just saying that. Actual side note is that the devs have made it so easy to get any lore info I need because of how strong this game is. They have built a whole function in the game to view enemy types, quests, weapons, and other helpful information, and they've put this all in one place, which makes it extremely helpful for content creation and for a few other reasons as well. So kudos to the devs for that one. I definitely wish other games had something similar. Now, the lore in Warframe is, like I said, titanic, and you can see this lore everywhere you look. From the inside of a basic orbiter, to a literal paradox, and theory, to the best boys, the domestic drones. I have at least a dozen. Please send help. Or send more drones. Either works. Either way, this game is dripping with lore. There's always more waiting to be uncovered. And what's more is, like I said earlier, it all works. It all connects and makes sense. None of it feels out of place or contradicts each other. And now I know the devs have to have a board, or maybe it's someone's whole job, to keep track of all this lore, which will be a pretty sweet job. When there's a new frame or new lore added on, this job could probably have some sort of system in place to make sure that it fits and that it doesn't screw anything up. Now, which I've heard of being done before in film or TV, but in a video game sense, that'd be it would speak to the team's dedication to quality and consistency. That is why a game like Warframe is so rare, a game running stronger than ever, that is 12 years old, is absolutely astounding. And this isn't luck or making a bunch of money to make people happy. No, this is a team that clearly deeply cares about what they're building, and they take their time to build up the world so they can figure out what works and what doesn't. They added friggin' time travel and worked in 90s lore into the game. And it still works. I already said it, but to achieve this is just crazy. Could you imagine Call of Duty or EA trying that level of complexity?
Yes.
We can see what happens. As I'm wrapping this first video up, I'm realizing that my videos actually may take a different path than I had intended. I thought I was going to go in depth about each narrative type in 3 different videos, trying to focus on just one type per video. Obviously, that's not how this one shaped up, and I may have ranted a bit, but please let me know if you like the structure or if you think something else could be better. I certainly had a lot of fun putting this together, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Now, if you're watching this the next day, I'll be right at TennoCon. Now, I'll be the guy with a hockey stick and mask, so say hi, or better yet, yell CLEM at me. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and I certainly hope to make more of them. If you feel like I deserve it, leave a like, subscribe if you want, and please leave comments. But for now, have a good one, bud.